weeks ago, a retired nun vanished without a trace from her apartment in Ashridge, Oregon. Every night since, her old music box mysteriously plays Ave Maria at exactly 9 p.m. Inside the apartment, police found no signs of struggle, just a cold cup of tea, an abandoned habit, and a journal torn apart. What happened to Sister Agnes, and what dark secrets was she about to reveal? It was an unusually cold spring evening in the small town of Ashridge, Oregon. The sun had set behind the rolling pine-covered hills, casting long, violet shadows over the town's narrow streets. The old brick building at the corner of Willow and Main, known by locals as the Friar's House, stood quietly in the fading light. On the third floor of this aging structure lived Sister Agnes Marlowe, a retired nun of the nearby St. Luke's parish, who had chosen this modest apartment after stepping away from active ministry. For nearly 40 years, Sister Agnes had been the heart of St. Luke's parish. Her days were once filled with comforting the sick, leading hymns with the choir, teaching catechism to children, and organizing charity drives. The congregation adored her. Yet when a scandal erupted 6 months ago involving Father Conrad Bell, the parish's longtime priest, the atmosphere shifted like a sour wind. Accusations of financial misconduct, embezzlement of charity funds meant for the poor, had surfaced. Though Sister Agnes was never implicated, the weight of betrayal within the parish shook her deeply. After Father Conrad was suspended pending investigation, Sister Agnes quietly requested to retire, citing exhaustion and the need for solitude to reflect and pray. Many parishioners mourned her departure from daily life at St. Luke's, but respected her choice. She moved into the Friar's House with few possessions, a small collection of religious texts, a battered suitcase of clothes, a single wooden crucifix, and a cherished music box, gifted decades earlier by her late mentor, Sister Francesca. The music box, shaped like a miniature church organ, played Ave Maria when wound. In the evenings, she would wind it, letting its soft notes accompany her prayers before bed. For 2 months, Sister Agnes kept mostly to herself. She attended early Mass on Sundays, sat quietly in the back pew, and left without lingering for coffee or conversation. Her neighbors at the Friar's House, a mix of elderly residents and young couples, often saw her at the window with a cup of tea and a warm Bible in hand. Then, 2 weeks ago, Sister Agnes vanished. It began with subtle oddities. On the first day, Mrs. Harper from 3B noticed the door to Sister Agnes's apartment ajar, but thought nothing of it. The next morning, the hallway smelled faintly of chamomile tea, yet no sounds came from within. On the third night, precisely at 9 p.m., the haunting strains of Ave Maria drifted down the corridor, as if Sister Agnes were there, performing her nightly ritual. Except no one had seen her enter or leave in days. By the 5th evening, concern grew. Mrs. Harper knocked but received no answer. Another neighbor, Mr. Kent, tried the handle. The door was locked from the inside. Yet again, at 9 p.m., the music box sang its solemn hymn. Unease spread through the building. The landlord, Mr. Delaney, was called. Together with Mrs. Harper and Mr. Kent, he used his spare key to open the apartment. Inside, everything appeared untouched. The kettle sat cold on the stove, with a single mug beside it. A half-read psalm lay open on the kitchen table. The windows were locked, the bedroom unrumpled, the bathroom spotless. But atop a small side table near her prayer chair, the music box stood open, its mechanism ticking softly in the silence. There was no sign of struggle, no packed bags, no indication of Sister Agnes having prepared to leave. It was as if she had simply evaporated into the air. Alarmed, Mr. Delaney called the local police. Officer Jenna Morrow, a young but seasoned investigator, responded to the call. After conducting a cursory sweep of the apartment, she found no forced entry, no valuables missing. "It's as if she meant to return any moment," she murmured. Yet the neighbors' accounts troubled her. Each insisted the music box had played nightly at 9 p.m., precisely the time Sister Agnes was known to wind it for evening prayers. But how could it continue playing when she was nowhere to be found? Unable to answer that question, Officer Morrow filed a missing persons report. Flyers with Sister Agnes's gentle smile were soon posted around Ashridge. The parishioners of St. Luke's held vigils, lighting candles and singing hymns beneath the aging stone arches. Whispers of foul play began to circulate, though no evidence suggested such. The only consistent eerie fact remained, the music box, unfailingly filling the building with its melancholy melody each night. Some speculated that someone else might have a key and was entering the apartment. Others feared darker explanations. Officer Morrow, pragmatic and thorough, ordered surveillance cameras to be temporarily installed in the hallway. Yet on the first night of monitoring, the cameras showed no movement toward or from Sister Agnes's door, only the faint music beginning, as always, at the appointed hour. In town, memories of Father Conrad's scandal remained fresh. Some questioned whether Sister Agnes's disappearances was tied to her knowledge of the Church's financial misdeeds. Others suggested she had perhaps chosen to retreat further into seclusion, fleeing the burden of communal grief. Yet those who knew her best dismissed such notions. "Sister Agnes would never abandon us without a word," insisted Deacon Paul Whitmore during a Sunday sermon. "Her faith was her compass. Something is wrong." 2 weeks passed, and the music box continued its haunting vigil. Each evening residents paused to listen, some with reverence, others with growing dread. The mystery deepened. Officer Morrow expanded her investigation, quietly interviewing parish staff and tracing Sister Agnes's last known activities. The inquiry, initially viewed as a routine welfare check, began to shift toward something more sinister. Why would a devout woman of unwavering discipline and compassion vanish so completely? And why did the music box remain the sole voice in her absence? These were questions Ashburg, once a town of simple faith and neighborly trust, could no longer ignore. The sun was just beginning to rise over Ashridge, casting soft amber light onto the quiet streets below. Inside the friar's house, a subtle tension had settled among the residents. The mystery of Sister Agnes's disappearance hung heavy in the air, its presence felt with every creaking floorboard and whispered conversation in the stairwells. That morning, Sister Bernadette, a fellow nun from St. Luke's and a longtime confidant of Sister Agnes, arrived at the building. Pet and wiry, with a determined glint in her eyes, Sister Bernadette clutched a small bundle of flowers in one hand and a well-worn prayer book in the other. She had not seen Sister Agnes in nearly 3 weeks, a longer stretch than either woman typically allowed between visits. When no one answered her calls or messages, Sister Bernadette had grown increasingly uneasy. That morning, after morning mass, she resolved to visit the apartment directly. Standing outside apartment 3C, Sister Bernadette rapped gently on the door. "Agnes? It's Bernadette, dear." Silence answered her knock. Frowning, she tried again, her voice firmer. Still, no response. Glancing nervously around the hall, she hesitated, then reached for the doorknob. To her surprise, it turned easily beneath her hand. The door was unlocked. Hard pounding, she pushed it open and stepped inside. The apartment was eerily still, the faint scent of chamomile tea lingering in the air. Sunlight streamed through sheer curtains, illuminating motes of dust that danced slowly in the quiet room. "Agnes?" she called again, voice trembling now. No reply. On instinct, she crossed into the small kitchen. There on the counter sat a delicate porcelain cup, half filled with tea now grown cold. A thin ring of liquid circled the inside of the cup, the tea bag still steeping. Next to it, a small jar of honey stood uncapped. Nearby, a folded napkin rested uncapped. It spoke of interruption, of a moment abandoned mid-thought. Moving to the coat stand near the door, she noted Sister Agnes's familiar blue-gray habit draped neatly over the hook. Her rosary beads looped around the collar. It was the very habit Agnes wore most days. She rarely left home without it. Sister Bernadette's unease deepened. With measured steps, she explored the rest of the apartment. The bedroom was untouched, bed neatly made, pillows undisturbed. A pair of reading glasses lay atop an open Bible on the nightstand. No signs of packing, no notes left behind. No evidence that Sister Agnes had intended to leave of her own volition. Pulse quickening, Sister Bernadette retreated to the hallway and knocked urgently on Mr. Delaney's door. The landlord answered, bleary-eyed and in his slippers. "She's gone," Bernadette gasped, voice tight with fear. The door was unlocked. "Something's wrong." Mr. Delaney wasted no time. Together, they contacted Officer Jenna Morrow, who arrived promptly with 2 colleagues. The officers conducted a careful, methodical sweep of the apartment. Officer Morrow's trained eyes absorbed every detail. The kitchen confirmed Bernadette's impression, a scene of sudden disruption. "No forced entry," she murmured. "No struggle. Everything looks in place. Yet as she moved to Sister Agnes's modest study nook, something caught her attention. A small leather-bound journal, its edges betraying a hasty removal. "Sergeant, brings evidence bags," Morrow instructed, and attached Mercury's new journal, well known among her peers, though its contents remained private. When Officer Morrow gently opened the journal, she noticed an unsettling detail. Several pages near the back had been torn out, jagged edges betraying a hasty removal. "Sergeant, bring evidence bags," Morrow instructed. "We'll need to process this," Sister Bernadette, standing close by, gasped softly. That journal was her confidence, she whispered. She wrote in it daily reflections, prayers, thoughts on parish matters. Why would anyone tear pages from it? Officer Morrow didn't answer immediately. Her mind was racing, the presence of the untouched cup of tea, the abandoned habit, and now the mutilated journal, suggested not mere absences, but deliberate silencing. "Do you know if Sister Agnes kept any copies of her notes elsewhere?" Morrow asked. Sister Bernadette shook her head. "No. She was old-fashioned. Everything went into that book. She trusted it." The officers continued their search, examining closets, drawers, and under the bed. They found no signs of disarray, no indication that a thief had rifled through the space. The only anomaly remained the journal. As the team worked, Morrow asked Sister Bernadette about any recent troubles in Agnes's life. The nun hesitated. "She was troubled by what happened at St. Luke's," Bernadette confessed. "Father Conrad's betrayal wounded her deeply. But there's something else." Morrow leaned in. "Go on." In recent weeks, Agnes confided that she had been reviewing old financial records. She suspected the full extent of the theft was greater than reported. She said she'd uncovered something damning. Morrow's pulse quickened. And did she tell anyone else about this? No, she was cautious. Said she'd write it all down first, then decide what to do. That journal. Bernadette gestured toward the evidence bag. It must have held her findings. Morrow frowned, piecing the implications together. The missing pages might well contain proof of Father Conrad's deeper crimes, or evidence implicating others. If someone wanted that information suppressed, they had ample motive to silence Sister Agnes. The question remained, who? And how had they accessed the apartment without leaving a trace? Across town, news of Sister Agnes's disappearance had begun to circulate more widely. Parishioners gathered at St. Luke's, lighting candles and offering prayer. Whispers of foul play grew louder, suspicions mounting against those connected to the parish's shadowed finances. Back at the friar's house, Officer Morrow prepared to escalate the case. The missing nun was no longer viewed as a simple disappearance. Foul play was now a chilling possibility. As the sun dipped once more behind Ashridge's pines, the haunting strains of Ave Maria again drifted through the building, filling the empty air with solemn lament. This time the sound chilled the hearts of all who heard it, as if echoing a truth none dared voice, aloud. Officer Jenna Morrow sat at her desk that evening, a half-empty cup of black coffee growing cold beside a stack of notes. The strange circumstances surrounding Sister Agnes's disappearance had consumed her thoughts all day, and the mutilated journal weighed heavily on her mind. She kept returning to Sister Bernadette's words about the financial records and the possibility that Agnes had uncovered more than anyone suspected. Still, speculation meant nothing without evidence. Jenna needed hard facts, and fast. It was close to 7 p.m. when her colleague, Officer Dave Ramirez, returned with the surveillance footage from the friar's house. The building had only 2 security cameras in the third-floor hallway, one aimed toward the stairwell, the other capturing the length of the corridor where Sister Agnes's apartment sat. Jenna called Sister Bernadette to join them. If there was any chance she might recognize an unfamiliar face, her input would be invaluable. As the footage played on Jenna's monitor, they watched the familiar faces of residents passing in and out. Mr. Kent with his grocery bags, Mrs. Harper taking out her recycling, a young couple returning from dinner. All of this appeared ordinary until the timestamp read 9:17 p.m. on the night before Sister Agnes vanished. The camera near the stairwell captured a man entering the hallway. He was average height, slightly heavy-set, with graying hair beneath a navy blue baseball cap. He wore a dark green jacket and carried a large canvas tool bag slung over one shoulder. Most tellingly, his shirt and pants bore the insignia of a local electrical company, Ashridge Electric Services. He moved with calm, purposeful steps directly to Sister Agnes's door, Without hesitation, he retrieved a key or device from his pocket and opened the door, slipping inside in one smooth motion. Jenna froze the frame and leaned in. "Who is that?" she asked. Sister Bernadette's brow furrowed. "I've never seen him before, but Ashridge Electric? I thought no maintenance was scheduled." Jenna immediately called Mr. Delaney, the building's landlord, who confirmed her suspicion. "No repairs were scheduled last week, officer, and I only used 2 licensed electricians. Neither one matches that man." Jenna's gut twisted. Whoever had entered Sister Agnes's apartment that night had done so under false pretenses. She scrubbed forward through the footage. 38 minutes later, at 9:55 p.m., the camera recorded the same man leaving the apartment. His tool bag appeared heavier now, as if something new had been added. He walked calmly, pausing only briefly to adjust his cap before disappearing down the stairwell. No other visitors appeared on the feed after that. Jenna leaned back, exhaling slowly. Someone posed as a maintenance worker to get inside. The question is, why? Dave nodded grimly. And why no forced entry? Did he have a key? That mystery deepened the already troubling picture. They needed to know exactly what had transpired during those 38 minutes. The next morning, armed with a warrant, Jenna and her team returned to the apartment for a second, more exhaustive search. Sister Bernadette accompanied them, hoping to spot any further irregularities. The apartment remained undisturbed since their last visit, the eerie quiet unbroken. The team began their methodical search anew. Jenna took particular interest in the items closest to Sister Agnes's prayer chair, a space where the nun often meditated and kept personal effects. There, on the small side table beneath the crucifix, sat the ornate music box. It was still open from the night before, the mechanism now stilled. On instinct, Jenna carefully lifted the lid and peered inside. Beneath the velvet-lined compartment where the winding key lay, a thin folded slip of paper was tucked beneath the fabric. Frowning, she retrieved it with tweezers and unfolded it gently. In delicate, looping script, unmistakably feminine, the message read, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." "That's her handwriting," she whispered. "I'm certain of it." Jenna nodded. "We'll have it confirmed, but it seems Agnes left this deliberately." The quote, a direct reference to the words of Christ on the cross, sent a chill through Jenna. Was it a plea for compassion toward her unknown adversary? A cryptic farewell? Or a message meant to incorrect someone indirectly? Forensic techs photographed the note and secured it in an evidence bag. Jenna sat back on her heels, deep in thought. If she had time to write this, she mused aloud, then whatever happened to her may not have been instant. She knew something was coming, or someone. Dave returned with a report on Ashridge Electric Services. No such company existed in the city's registry. The uniform and insignia were fabricated, the tool bag and clothing likely props used to bypass suspicion. Jenna's mind raced. This was no random crime. Someone had staged an elaborate ruse to access Agnes's apartment, potentially in search of something or to silence her. The missing pages from the journal took on new significance. Was the intruder after them? Had he succeeded in taking them? Sister Bernadette's voice broke her reverie. "I believe Agnes suspected this." She gestured toward the note. This was not written lightly, Jenna agreed. Every piece of the puzzle pointed to premeditation, deception, and a calculated effort to conceal the truth. Her next steps were clear. First, enhance the video footage to identify the intruder. Second, pursue connections to Father Conrad's circle, anyone with motive to eliminate damning evidence. And third, cross-reference the handwriting on the note with other documents to solidify its authenticity. As Jenna prepared her team for the next phase of investigation, a new layer of dread settled over her. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became Sister Agnes had stumbled onto something dangerous, and someone had gone to great lengths to ensure her silence. The following morning, Officer Jenna Morrow arrived at Ashridge Police Headquarters, determined to push the investigation forward. The previous day's discovery, the forged uniform, the surveillance footage of the unknown man, and the cryptic note inside Sister Agnes's cherished music box had left her with more questions than answers. The leads were beginning to take shape, but connecting them required careful, deliberate work. She began by requesting a comprehensive background check on all known associates of Father Conrad Bell, the disgraced former priest of St. Luke's Parish. If Sister Agnes had indeed uncovered financial crimes, as Sister Bernadette had implied, it was plausible that someone connected to Father Conrad had acted to prevent that information from coming to light. Jenna also had the note analyzed by the department's handwriting expert, who confirmed that the writing was consistent with samples of Sister Agnes's known correspondence. That finding, while unsurprising, added further weight to the theory that she had written it under duress, or in anticipation of danger. By mid-morning, Detective Dave Ramirez entered Jenna's office holding a slim folder. "You'll want to see this," he said grimly. The folder contained a series of emails and handwritten notes Sister Agnes had exchanged with a retired church accountant named Howard Penrose over the past several months. Howard, a quiet and meticulous man in his 70s, had served St. Luke's for over 2 decades before retiring shortly after the scandal involving Father Conrad broke. He had been largely overlooked during the initial investigation, but Sister Agnes had not forgotten him. According to the documents Dave found, Sister Agnes had reached out to Howard discreetly after her retirement, requesting access to old financial ledgers, donation records, and transaction histories. The emails showed a clear pattern. Sister Agnes had been methodically reviewing years of church finances, focusing in particular on a series of unaccounted withdrawals from the parish's charity fund, withdrawals that coincided with Father Conrad's tenure. In one message, dated just 3 weeks before her disappearance, she wrote, "Howard, I believe the thefts extend deeper than initially suspected. I have found inconsistencies that point to personal enrichment at the expense of our parishioners and the poor we were meant to serve. I must proceed carefully. Please continue to send whatever records you can locate. May God guide us." Sister Agnes had been closing in on something substantial. The missing pages from her journal likely contained her findings. Someone had known she was getting too close and had acted accordingly. That afternoon, Jenna interviewed Howard Penrose at his modest home on the outskirts of town. The retired accountant appeared visibly shaken when informed of Sister Agnes's disappearances. "She feared this might happen," he admitted. "She told me only days ago that she suspected someone was watching her. She refused to stop, said it was her duty to expose the truth." Howard explained that while he had provided copies of several key records, Sister Agnes had insisted on handling the most sensitive material herself. "She didn't trust electronic files," he added. "She said paper left a clearer trail, one harder to manipulate." Jenna pressed him for names, anyone who might have known about Agnes's investigation or stood to lose from its success. Howard hesitated, then sighed. There was a man, Marcus Bell, Father Conrad's cousin. He appeared at the rectory often during the final months before the scandal broke, always claimed to be helping with repairs or odd jobs, but I never saw him on any official payroll. The name triggered something in Jenna's mind. She returned to the station and ran a background check on Marcus Bell. The results sent a jolt through her. Marcus Bell, age 48, had a prior conviction for impersonating a city building inspector in nearby Portland 5 years ago. He had served 18 months in prison for fraud and impersonation of a public official. His most recent known address was a rental property just outside Ashridge. Jenna cross-referenced the surveillance footage with old mugshots of Marcus. The match was unmistakable. The man in the electrician's uniform entering Sister Agnes's apartment was Marcus Bell. "We've got him," Jenna said to Dave, her voice hard with resolve. The pieces were aligning. Sister Agnes had uncovered evidence of deeper embezzlement within the parish's charity fund, evidence that likely implicated Father Conrad. Marcus Bell, acting as a surrogate for his disgraced cousin, had entered her apartment under false pretenses. The missing journal pages, the ominous note, the frab-frigated uniform, all pointed to an organized effort to suppress the truth. Now they needed to find Marcus Bell and pray that they weren't already too late to save Sister Agnes. Officer Jenna Morrow stood before the task force she had hastily assembled that morning at Ashridge Police Headquarters, the tension in the small conference room palpable. They had confirmed Marcus Bell's identity as the man who entered Sister Agnes's apartment and uncovered proof that Sister Agnes had been gathering damning evidence against Father Conrad Bell, Marcus's cousin. Yet one critical question remained unanswered. Had Agnes managed to safeguard the information before she vanished? Jenna's gut told her she had, but proving it was another matter. As the team reviewed the timeline, Detective Dave Ramirez reported a new lead. "I spoke with several nuns from St. Luke's this morning," he began. "One of them, Sister Helena, came forward with something interesting." Jenna gestured for him to continue. "She said that a few days before her disappearance, Sister Agnes seemed anxious but determined. During a quiet moment in the rectory garden, Agnes confided, 'I'm preparing to send the documents to someone I trust. If anything happens to me, remember the song in my music box.'" The room went silent. Jenna's mind raced. The cryptic note in the music box and this new statement seemed connected, a deliberate breadcrumb trail left by a woman who knew the danger she faced. "Did Sister Helena know who Agnes intended to send the documents to?" Jenna asked. Dave shook his head. "No, she said Agnes refused to name them, said it was safer that way." Jenna leaned over the table, fingers steepled beneath her chin. "She anticipated this. She showed me someone might come for her and tried to outmaneuver them." The thought sent a chill through her. Jenna ordered the team to cross-references all mail and courier services in the area from the week of Sister Agnes's disappearance. "If she sent something, there will be a record," she said. Hours passed as officers combed through digital records and contacted local branches. By mid-afternoon their efforts paid off. Officers Amelia Chen returned to the conference room with a printout in hand. "Officers found something," she said. "Sister Agnes visited the First Community Bank on Main Street the morning she vanished. Surveillance footage shows her entering around 10:14 a.m. and leaving roughly 20 minutes later. During that time, she mailed a package through the bank's private courier service." Jenna's heart leapt. "Do we know where she sent it?" "The label lists a P.O. box in San Francisco, California," Amelia replied. "Stipulated her name is redacted. Agnes paid for extra confidentiality services." The package weighed just under 2 pounds. Jenna immediately requested the surveillance footage. Within the hour, they gathered around the screen as the grainy black-and-white video played. There was Sister Agnes wearing a long gray coat and a modest hat, carrying a flat parcel wrapped in brown paper. Her movements were calm but purposeful. She approached the counter, completed the transaction, and left with a faint but unmistakable expression of relief on her face. "That was deliberate," Jenna murmured. She was running out of time. The timestamp, 10:14 a.m., placed this event just hours before Marcus Bell's entry into her apartment that evening. The sequence was damning. Sister Agnes had mailed the evidence, and someone close to Father Conrad had likely found out and sent Marcus to retrieve whatever might remain. Jenna's mind whirled. They needed to track that package, fast. Contacting the courier service, Jenna learned that the package had arrived at its destination 2 days later. The recipient had signed only with the initials DM. No further identifying information was available due to the confidentiality request. Frustrated but undeterred, Jenna ordered a subpoena for the P.O. Box records and began working through possible connections. Meanwhile, word of the discovery spread quickly through the task force. The knowledge that Sister Agnes had likely succeeded in protecting the evidence gave the team a renewed sense of urgency. Yet it also heightened the stakes. If the recipient was compromised, or if Marcus Bell or his associates tracked them down, the risk to that person and to the investigation was severe. Jenna gathered the team once more. "We're running out of time," she said. "No, Agnes got the evidence out, and that someone knew or suspected as much. We need to identify DM and secure that package before they do. Full cunt press, no leads ignored." As the team dispersed to their tasks, Jenna allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. Sister Agnes had shown remarkable foresight and courage. She had acted with faith and resolve, leaving behind just enough clues for those willing to follow. Now it was up to them to honor that trust, and to find her before the shadows closed in further. The morning after confirming that Sister Agnes had mailed the package to a P.O. box in San Francisco, Officer Jenna Morrow wasted no time escalating the investigation. The connection between the parcel and Marcus Bell's appearance at the apartment was undeniable, and every passing hour increased the risk that whoever had received the package might be in danger or compromised. Jenna obtained a federal subpoena and coordinated with the Postal Service to review transaction details for the P.O. box registered under the initials DM. The results arrived quickly but proved maddeningly incomplete. The recipient, using a prepaid rental agreement, had signed only as DMM, paying in cash with no linked address or phone number. Surveillance footage from the post office captured a feeling about the package 2 days after its arrival. The signature on the receipt was a simple scrawl, impossible to trace. Jenna leaned over the screen, frustration simmering beneath her professional calm. No traceable ID, no credit card, no phone. This person knew what they were doing. Could it be an alias? Dave Ramirez asked. Jenna nodded. Almost certainly, either Agnes arranged this through a trusted intermediary or someone intercepted it. Further inquiry with the courier service confirmed the package had been delivered and signed for inside the post office lobby, not forwarded elsewhere. Since that moment, no additional activity had occurred on the P.O. Box account. Whoever DM was, they had gone dark immediately after retrieving the parcel. Jenna ordered a broader sweep, reviewing traffic cameras near the post office, cross-referencing known associates of both Sister Agnes and Father Conrad, and canvassing any possible connection in the Bay Area that might align with the recipient's actions. As her team began the exhaustive work, a new development landed unexpectedly in her lap. That afternoon, a call came through from St. Luke's Parish. Father Michael Torres, the new priest assigned after Father Conrad's removal, reported that a suspicious letter had arrived at the church that morning. Which addressed to the parish, no name, he told Jenna over the phone. But the message, I think you should see it. Jenna and Dave drove to the church immediately. Father Torres met them in the rectory office, visibly shaken. He handed over a plain white envelope, unmarked save for the words, "To St. Luke's Parish," typed neatly on the front. Inside was a single sheet of paper bearing a short, chilling message, typed in black letters. "Forget this matter. Faith cannot save the traitor." Jenna read it aloud, her voice steady. "It's a threat," Dave said grimly. "No signature, no return address." Father Torres nodded. "And there's something else. The envelope and the paper, they smelled strange." Jenna's forensic instincts kicked in. She examined the envelope closely and detected a faint, oily residue along the flap and edges of the paper. Back at the station, the forensics team conducted a detailed analysis. The results came back within hours. The residue contained a specific blend of industrial-grade lubricants and solvents, commonly used in heavy-duty machinery maintenance. More tellingly, the chemical signature matched the unique formulation used by Ashridge Auto and Electric Repair, the same shop where Marcus Bell had worked intermittently since his release from prison. Jenna's pulse quickened. The link was undeniable. "He's sending a message," she said, "or someone close to him is. They know we're closing in." Dave frowned. "Why send it to the parish? Why not directly to us?" Jenna considered this carefully. "Because they want to send a message to anyone still loyal to Agnes. They want to scare them into silence." The implications were deeply troubling. If Marcus or his associates had tracked the progress of the investigation this closely, the entire operation was now under greater risk. Jenna ordered enhanced surveillance on St. Luke's and issued warnings to key parish figures, especially the remaining nuns and staff who had worked closely with Sister Agnes. Meanwhile, her team continued pursuing leads on the San Francisco P.O. Box and reviewing every scrap of evidence that might reveal the recipient's identity. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became that Agnes had been navigating a dangerous game, one that had now ensnared everyone connected to her cause. As Jenna stood in her office late that night, studying the thread letter under the forensic lights, one line echoed in her mind. "Remember the song in my music box." The message was deliberate. Whatever secrets Agnes had tried to protect were still out there, somewhere. And someone would stop at nothing to bury them forever. Officer Jenna Morrow barely slept that night. The anonymous threat against St. Luke's and the near certainty that Marcus Bell was still operating in the shadows gnawed at her. Sister Agnes's carefully orchestrated mailing to California offered a slim thread of hope, but the team still lacked a clear understanding of just how deep the corruption ran, or who else might be complicit. Driven by instinct and the urgency of the case, Jenna arrived at the precinct at dawn and immediately requested access to the complete financial records of St. Luke's Parish. The initial investigation during Father Conrad Bell's scandal had been rushed, and given the emerging evidence, Jenna suspected that much had been overlooked or deliberately buried. Working alongside forensic accountant Miriam Yates, Jenna began a painstaking review of the parish's donation records, grant receipts, and bank statements from the past 5 years. The process was slow, each ledger cross-referenced line by line against bank records and known charitable outflows. It was just past noon when Miriam sat back in her chair, brow furrowed. "I've found something," she said. Jenna leaned over the accountant's shoulder. Miriam pointed to a series of recurring transactions labeled as Special Outreach Fund Disbursement. "These transfers look routine at first," Miriam explained, "but notice the amounts, exactly $5,000 each, withdrawn quarterly, always just before the financial reporting periods." Jenna scanned the records. "That's too consistent. Who authorized them?" Miriam traced the signatures. "Who signed off by Father Conrad. But here's the kicker. There's no corresponding expense documentation, no invoices, no receipts, no outreach programs that match these amounts." Jenna's heart pounded. "How much in total?" Miriam clicked through the spreadsheet, her fingers flying off over the past 3 years. Jenna exhaled sharply. "That's our missing money." The implication was staggering. Father Conrad's embezzlement was not a small-time scheme. It had been systematic, deliberate, and deeply concealed. Now it made perfect sense why Sister Agnes had been digging so fervently and why someone had wanted to stop her. Jenna instructed her team to cross-reference the fraudulent transfers with known business interests and associates of Marcus Bell and Father Conrad, hoping to trace where the money had gone. Meanwhile, news of the investigation's progress rippled quietly through the parish. That afternoon, Father Michael Torres contacted Jenna again, requesting a discreet meeting. In his office at St. Luke's, the young priest appeared more troubled than Jenna had ever seen him. "There's something you need to know," he began, voice low. "One of our older parishioners, Mr. Albert Grayson, came to me after Mass this morning. He said he had information about Sister Agnes." Jenna leaned forward. "What did he say?" "Apparently, the day before she disappeared, Sister Agnes approached me after evening prayers and asked to arrange a formal confession, not just a private one, but a public act of contrition before select members of the parish council." Jenna's eyes widened. "A public confession?" Father Torrance nodded. "She said she needed to unburden herself about truths long hidden, and that it was time to bring certain matters into the light. She was insistent, but something about her demeanor worried me. She seemed exhausted, almost hunted. I asked her to come to my office the next day to discuss it further, but she never arrived." Jenna's mind raced. Agnes had intended to make the corruption public, possibly implicating not just Father Conrad, but others who had enabled or ignored the thefts. Her attempt to do so had almost certainly accelerated the timeline of those seeking to silence her. "Did she tell Mr. Grayson what she planned to reveal?" Jenna asked. "It involved great wrongdoing tied to the parish's charitable works," Father Torres replied. "He said she seemed burdened by guilt, not her own guilt, but the weight of knowledge." Jenna left the church deep in thought. The pieces were aligning with grim clarity. Sister Agnes had uncovered extensive financial corruption, prepared evidence for trusted recipients, and intended to publicly expose the crimes. In response, her enemies had acted swiftly and ruthlessly. Now the task force needed to trace the stolen funds and close the net around Marcus Bell before more lives were endangered. Officer Jenna Morrow sat in the dimly lit conference room of Ashridge Police Headquarters, her team gathered around her. The revelation of the $200,000 in missing parish funds and Sister Agnes's aborted attempt to expose the truth had shifted the investigation into high gear. The net was tightening, and Jenna knew they were closing in on something monumental. But the question remained, just how high up did the rot go? It was with this question in mind that Jenna ordered the next step, an official interview with Father Conrad Bell, who had since been reassigned to a small parish in northern Oregon, pending the outcome of the internal church inquiry. Though stripped of his former authority, Father Conrad remained a figure of influence, carefully guarded by loyal followers and the lingering deference of his new parishioners. Jenna and Detective Dave Ramirez drove out early the next morning to St. Matthew's Parish, where they found Father Conrad in his modest rectory office. He greeted them with a practiced smile, hands folded piously before him. "Officers," he said smoothly, "how may I assist you today?" Jenna wasted no time. "We're here regarding the disappearance of Sister Agnes Marlowe and certain irregularities in the financial records of St. Luke's Parish." Father Conrad's expression remained carefully neutral. "Tragic," Truly tragic, he replied. Sister Agnes was a devoted servant of the church. Jenna fixed him with a steady gaze. We have reason to believe your cousin, Marcus Bell, entered her apartment under false pretenses the night she disappeared. For the first time, a flicker of something, surprise or calculation, passed across Father Conrad's face. I haven't spoken to Marcus in years, he said smoothly. I was unaware he was even in Oregon. Jenna's voice hardened. We've obtained phone records, Father. 3 days before Sister Agnes vanished, you had a 32-minute phone call with Marcus Bell. Father Conrad's computer faltered. His hands twitched slightly before he clasped them tighter. I received many calls, he said, the mask cracking just enough for Jenna to see through. I may have spoken with him briefly, family matters. Jenna leaned forward. 32 minutes is not idle family chat. She let the implication hang in the air. Father Conrad swallowed hard, but said nothing more of substance. The lie was clear. He had spoken to Marcus, likely coordinating whatever actions had followed. Yet, without a confession or additional evidence, the case remained circumstantial. Frustrated but resolute, Jenna returned to Ashridge with Dave, both acutely aware that their window for finding Sister Agnes alive was narrowing. As they prepared to dig deeper into Marcus Bell's movements, an unexpected development shook the investigation anew. That afternoon, a courier arrived at the station with an unassuming brown parcel marked "Return to Sender." It was the very package Sister Agnes had mailed to the San Francisco box. The reason for return, recipient unknown. Where now? She muttered. Someone forced that box to close, or worse. The package, still sealed and intact, was immediately taken to the forensic lab. Wearing gloves, Jenna carefully opened it under observation. Inside, beneath layers of protective padding, lay a single USB drive and a handwritten note in Sister Agnes's familiar script. If this reaches the right hands, may the truth be known. If not, may God have mercy on us. Jenna's breath caught. This was the break they needed. The USB was rushed to the department's tech specialists, who swiftly decrypted its contents. What they found sent shockwaves through the team. The primary file was an audio recording, time-stamped 1 week prior to Sister Agnes's disappearance. The voices were unmistakable, Sister Agnes and Father Conrad. In the recording, Agnes's voice was calm but resolute. Father, I know about the transfers, $200,000 siphoned from the parish's outreach fund. I have the records, Conrad's voice responded, tense and defensive. You don't understand. The church needed those funds, for repairs, for keeping the doors open. Agnes pressed on. That is not your decision to make. The money was meant for the poor, for the community. You betrayed that trust. Conrad's voice grew sharper. Be careful, sister. You tread dangerous ground. The recording ended abruptly, a chilling testament to the tension between them. Jenna replayed it twice, each time the weight of the words settling deeper in her gut. This was the smoking gun, irrefutable proof of the embezzlement and a clear motive for silencing Sister Agnes. The question now was whether this damning evidence had triggered the desperate attempt to retrieve the package, or if Marcus Bell had been acting on even darker orders. As Jenna prepared to brief her team, a new sense of urgency gripped her. The stakes had risen beyond anything they had anticipated. The discovery of the USB recording had electrified the entire investigation, offering the team irrefutable proof of Father Conrad's embezzlement and his thinly veiled threats towards Sister Agnes. Yet even as they celebrated this breakthrough, the most urgent question remained unanswered. Where was Sister Agnes now? Transferment to find her, Jenna ordered a comprehensive reanalysis of all available data, focusing particularly on Sister Agnes's movements in the critical hours before her disappearance. As her team combed through security footage and GPS records, one avenue of inquiry held particular promise. Cell tower data. Although Sister Agnes's phone had not been recovered, Jenna suspected it might still hold valuable clues. Working with a telecommunications expert, they traced the phone's last known signals, triangulating its location through pings recorded by nearby towers. The results sent a chill through the room. The last active ping, the technician explained, was logged at 10:46 p.m. on the night she vanished, near an old agricultural zone about 25 miles northeast of Ashridge. After that, nothing. Jenna stared at the map. The area in question was sparsely populated, mostly abandoned farmland and derelict structures. A perfect place to hide something or someone. She leaned over the table. "What's there?" Dave pulled up county records. "There's an abandoned dairy farm, Rosewood Acres, shut down 15 years ago. No official activity since." Jenna wasted no time. She organized a search team, securing a warrant and notifying tactical support. The next morning, under a gray sky heavy with the promise of rain, a convoy of police vehicles wound its way through the overgrown backroads leading to Rosewood Acres. The landscape grew increasingly bleak as they approached, fields choked with wild grass, rusted machinery leaning at odd angles. The farmhouse itself loomed like a ghost, its paint peeled to bare wood, windows dark and broken. Jenna and her team approached cautiously, weapons drawn, every sense on high alert. The barn's wide double doors stood slightly ajar, creaking faintly in the wind. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of old hay. They found no immediate sign of life, but Jenna's gut told her they were close. A systematic search began, sweeping room by room, floor by floor. It was Officer Amelia Chen who made the discovery in the upper level of the barn. Tucked beneath a pile of rotting burlap sacks, half concealed in shadow, lay a dark gray fabric, the familiar woolen habit worn by Sister Agnes. Jenna rushed to the spot, heart pounding. Carefully they lifted the garment. The sight that greeted them was gut-wrenching. The front of the habit was stiff with dried blood, the dark stains marring the once pristine fabric. No body lay beneath it, only the garment itself, discarded like a cruel taunt. Jenna swallowed hard, voice tight. Back at headquarters, forensic analysis confirmed their worst fears. The blood belonged to Sister Agnes, DNA matched without question. Yet the absence of a body left a grim ambiguity. Had she been killed and moved? Was she still alive but grievously injured? The answers eluded them, as the justice eluded them. As the team processed the scene, additional unsettling details emerged. In a nearby outbuilding, they found evidence of recent activity, footprints in the dust, hearing tracks leading away from the property. Whoever had brought Sister Agnes here had done so with intent and had left in a hurry. Jenna stood in the barn doorway, gazing out over the desolate fields, mind racing. The clues pointed to a carefully staged operation, one designed to mislead and intimidate. Yet there was one undeniable truth. Sister Agnes had been here, and her enemies were growing increasingly desperate. Jenna knew they had to move fast. The window for saving Sister Agnes, if she was still alive, was closing with each passing hour. The discovery of Sister Agnes's bloodied habit inside the abandoned barn left the Ashridge police force both shaken and galvanized. Though the evidence suggested grave harm, the absence of a body offered a fragile thread of hope that she might still be alive. Time was critical. As the search intensified, Jenna Morrow and her team returned to Rosewood Acres, determined to canvass the surrounding area for any potential witnesses, no matter how unlikely. It was during this second sweep that fortune shifted in their favor. Behind a crumbling feed silo about a quarter-mile from the main property, the officers encountered a makeshift encampment, a cluster of cardboard and tarps that served as a temporary shelter for a local homeless man known only as Gus. Disheveled and wary, Gus eyed the officers with suspicion until Jenna, crouching to meet him eye to eye, offered reassurance. "We're looking for an older woman who may have been here," she said gently. "She's in danger. If you saw anything, it could help save her." Gus hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I seen something. 2 weeks back," he rasped. "Late at night. Heard a truck out there. Didn't think much of it at first. But then I saw—" He swallowed hard. "A lady. Real small. Gray hair. Looked sick or something. Man was shoving her into a white pickup. She didn't fight. Just looked tired. Like she knew there wasn't no point." Jenna's pulse quickened. "You saw the truck? Can you describe it?" Loud muffler. The details matched perfectly with a vehicle registered to Marcus Bell, Father Conrad's cousin, and the man last seen entering Sister Agnes's apartment. Armed with this new lead, Jenna secured an emergency warrant to search Marcus Bell's property, a dilapidated farmhouse on the outskirts of town. The tactical team assembled swiftly. At dawn the next day, under a cold gray sky, the convoy approached Marcus's residence. The house stood silent, its windows shuttered. Marcus's truck, a battered white Ford with rust marring the fender, sat parked in the driveway. Jenna's team moved in fast and hard. Marcus was apprehended without incident, caught off guard as he attempted to flee out the back door. Yet Marcus's capture was only the beginning. The real objective lay within the house itself. A meticulous search commenced, room by room, inch by inch. It was Officer Dave Ramirez who discovered the hidden entrance, a concealed hatch beneath a threadbare rug in the kitchen. The hatch opened onto a narrow wooden staircase descending into darkness. Flashlights cutting through the gloom, the team descended cautiously. The air grew colder, damper. At the bottom of the stairs they found a heavy steel door secured with a padlock. Jenna's heart pounded as the bolt cutters snapped through the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a small windowless room. In the far corner, huddled beneath a threadbare blanket, sat Sister Agnes. Her face was pale and gaunt, her frame visibly weakened by 2 harrowing weeks of captivity. Yet her eyes, when they met Jenna's, burned with unbroken resolve. "Thank God," she whispered, voice trembling but clear. Jenna rushed to her side, wrapping her in a warm jacket. "You're safe now," she said softly. "We've got you." Paramedics arrived swiftly, assessing Sister Agnes's condition. Though malnourished and dehydrated, she was alive and determined to speak. As she was transported to the hospital, Jenna rode beside her, listening intently. "I knew they would come," Agnes said weakly. "They tried to break me, but the truth? It's safe. You found the USB?" Jenna nodded. "We have it. You did more than anyone could have asked." Over the next several days, Sister Agnes recovered steadily. Her testimony, combined with the USB recording and financial evidence, provided an airtight case against Father Conrad and Marcus Bell. Under mounting pressure, Father Conrad finally confessed to orchestrating the scheme, though he continued to insist the funds had been used for necessary repairs. Marcus Bell faced a slew of charges, including kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and attempted obstruction of justice. The parish, shaken but resolute, began the slow process of healing. Sister Agnes, though physically diminished, remained a symbol of unwavering faith and courage. In a special Mass held in her honor, she addressed the congregation with quiet dignity. "The truth is a light," she said. "It cannot be hidden forever, no matter how deep the shadows." The haunting strains of Ave Maria once again filled the church, not from a music box this time, but from the voices of a gripping, newly unified community. If you found this story as gripping as we did, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. We dive deep into true mysteries just like this one. And tell us, what detail in Sister Agnes's story surprised you the most? Also, where in the world are you watching from today? Let us know in the comments below. We always love hearing from you.